What is going on? Is Gia here representing Gia's World, and I'm talking about the Baton Rouge shooting. 3 officers dead. Shooter was Missouri man, sources say. And I have 2 news articles pulled up, okay? One from New York Times, so www.nytimes.com. Another one from CNN, www.cnn.com, and I'll post both news articles in the description box below. I'm going to read from New York Times first, and then I'm going to jump over to CNN. I'm going to give an analysis of what I think is going on and what the media has been doing, and we'll go from there. So anyways, starting out, 3 police officers lost their lives yesterday in Baton Rouge. This is unfortunate. This is sad. But it seems like I'm saying this every time I do a video when we're discussing violence, whether it's police brutality, where police are targeting unarmed people of color and killing them, assaulting them, or denying them of their human rights and their constitutional rights, or it's people, lone gunmen, going out killing police officers. Whether it's the situation in Dallas, Texas, where 5 police officers were sniped out, gunned down, murdered, or the situation that just happened yesterday, July 17th, 2016, in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where 3 police officers were killed. This is a continuum of violence and just like no respect for human life, basically. So I'm going to read a little bit from here. The man who fatally shot 3 law enforcement officers here and wounded 3 officers before being killed by the police on Sunday morning was targeting officers, okay? State police officials said Monday. So today's Monday. This is new. Our preliminary investigation shows that he definitely ambushed those officers. Lieutenant J.B. Slatton, a public affairs commander for the Louisiana State Police, said in a phone interview Monday morning, "We are still trying to find out what his motive was, and that's going to be part of our investigation. But we believe he was targeting those officers." The superintendent of the Louisiana State Police officer, Michael D. Edmondson, said Monday that investigators were interviewing people and sifting through visual evidence to track the activities of the gunman, Gavin Long, before he shot the officers and to find out what brought Mr. Long to the city and why he stayed, adding that it was critical and important to get it right. Going to give you the name of the victims. 3 officers shot and killed Sunday morning in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. 3 others were wounded. The first victim, Montrell L. Jackson, 32 years old, 10-year veteran of the Baton Rouge Police Department. He and his wife had a baby this past March. The baby is roughly 4 months old. Matthew Gerald, 41, served with Baton Rouge Police Department for less than a year. Brad Garafola, 45, East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff Deputy, father of 4. 3 people murdered, 3 people killed. Family members lost family members and loved ones, okay? This is really sad and unfortunate. Now, what I don't understand is, I'm about to go to CNN next, but what I don't understand is how the media is portraying all of this, okay? CNN basically said the same thing, okay? A Missouri man ambushed and killed 3 law enforcement officers and wounded 3 others in Baton Rouge on Saturday during a time when police nationwide in Louisiana City, and particularly, have been on high alert after 5 officers were killed in Dallas ambush July 7th. Louisiana State Police announced last week that they had received threats of plots against Baton Rouge police. Okay? On Sunday, a man identified as Gavin Long of Kansas City went on a shooting rampage on his 29th birthday that left 2 police officers and a sheriff deputy dead. Police sources said Long, who was African American, was a former Marine who spent time in Iraq and was discharged at the rank of sergeant in 2010, according to the U.S. military. Police officers who responded to Sunday's shooting killed Long in a gun battle after the other officers were ambushed. Police sources told CNN the murder weapon was an AR-15 style semi-automatic rifle, law enforcement told CNN. Okay? Now, what I don't understand is, first of all, in both situations where there has been shootings of police officers and killings of police officers, yes, both people, okay, Micah Xavier Johnson and Gavin Long, both are African American black men. Also, they both have military history. So you know where I'm going with this. This is the history of violence in the United States of America. When we send people into the military, let's be real. What is the end goal of the military? Hmm? They're trained to kill. They're trained to kill. They're trained to kill. Okay? That's what the whole boot camp is about. That's what the whole, regiments and trainings and learning how to operate different weapons and machinery. They're trained for combat. They're trained to kill. So, is this really a shocking surprise that two people with military backgrounds happen to be able to operate these weapons, whether it's an AR-15, semi-automatic rifle, or another weapon, or possible military-grade weapons as well? Are we really shocked? They've been trained for that. Also, are we checking for post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD? Are we checking for that? Are we looking at the history of that? And this is another reason why I am against the military and why I'm against war. Because at the end of the day, this is the type of mess that we get. You're training folks to kill. And then you think when they come back from the war, from fighting, from killing, from seeing all kinds of devastating stuff, what can that do to somebody's mental and emotional well-being? Nobody even thinks about these things. And then they come back to civilization. They come back home, and we're supposed to act like they're just supposed to automatically come back into society, mainstream society, and act stable after the stuff that they witnessed and been through and saw. It doesn't work that way. So once again, these are people that were trained by the United States of America to kill, and then they come back on American soil and kill. Are you really shocked and surprised? I'm just saying. Another thing is with the media. The media is twisting and turning this to make it seem like the Black Lives Matter movement, and people who are protesting and advocating for social justice, equity, freedom, and rights, and the end of violence and the end of police brutality are a hate group, and then insinuating not only that Black Lives Matter's movement is a hate group, but also insinuating that it's the Black Lives Matter movement that's contributing to police being injured and police being killed. And that is the farthest from the truth. And once again, this is the media. This is the mainstream media. Okay? This is CNN. This is Fox. This is MSNBC. This is the New York Times. The list goes on. Mainstream media is the one giving us this backdrop that the Black Lives Matter movement is a hate group, and they're insinuating the violence against police officers across the country. And that is the farthest thing from the truth. And then also today, we just found out that another officer in the Freddie Gray situation, in the Freddie Gray case last year, where a 25-year-old unarmed African American black male spine was broke, his neck was broke from being physically abused and assaulted by Baltimore police. We just found out today another Baltimore police officer in the investigation was found not guilty of Freddie Gray's death. So, we keep trying to scapegoat our issues off on other people. For example, we try to put all the blame on Black Lives Matter. We try to put all the blame on the entire police force. We try to put all the blame on individuals instead of looking at social issues that have contributed to the problem at hand. We don't want to look at how white supremacy and racism has played a role in what we have going on in our society. We don't want to look at how patriarchy and masculinity in general is very violent and toxic. We don't want to look at that. We don't want to look at how poverty and runaway capitalism has contributed to the high crime rates in this country and in this world. We don't want to look at that. Instead, we want to blame the Black Lives Matter for police being shot and killed. We want to blame, we want to blame the victim. We want to blame poverty for crime instead of looking at the fact that we have low wages, stagnant job growth, and the job growth that President Barack Obama and his administration and other politicians, whether they're Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal, mutual, in the middle, moderate, what have you, they keep talking about this job growth that doesn't exist because the jobs they're talking about are all in the service economy. And the service economy jobs are low wages, minimum wage, part-time, poverty-style jobs. It's the McDonald's. It's the Walmarts. Okay, it's the service economy. It's, low wage, part-time, minimum wage. These are not jobs that people can sustain a family or a life on. So people got to work 2 and 3 jobs to make ends meet. People are literally living in desperate times. Desperate times calls for desperate measures. So you have people who are out here committing crimes, selling drugs, breaking in houses, doing whatever they have to do. Unfortunately, though I don't agree with it, but I can see what it can do to folks, doing whatever they have to do to make ends meet. So crime is high. Poverty is high. People are suffering. Then we have this white supremacist, racist society that everybody has been indoctrinated with. Everybody from our politicians to our police officers to everyday people such as me and you. Okay, we've all been indoctrinated with the darker your skin complexion, the less you're seen as being educated, the more you're seen as being a criminal and something being wrong with you. So police officers, just like anybody else in this white supremacist, racist society, has been indoctrinated. So people are racially profiling. Police officers are seeing people of color and thinking automatically that they're up to no good. Okay? And then another thing is you have a lot of black folks. You have a lot of people of color who have internalized the racism, internalized the white supremacy. Okay? So you got a lot of black folks who may be police officers who see black people and other people of color as potential suspects and targets just as much as white police officers, just as much as white folks. Because at the end of the day, we're all in this society and people internalize oppression. But that's a whole, I'm going to do a video on that because that's a whole nother subject that we need to talk about. And then we have this culture of violence, which goes into the toxic masculinity, the toxic patriarchy, where this whole idea you're not a man unless you're violent, abusive, domineering, controlling. So this very toxic patriarchal masculinity that we got going on, where it's all about shooting and killing and who can I control and who can I have power over, who can I oppress. That's essentially what is going on and what has been going on for centuries. This is not a new phenomenon. This has been going on for centuries, okay, since the inception of the United States of America. I mean, look at how the United States of America was created. Literally, they invaded another space of land, a whole space of land, took it from the indigenous people, the Native Americans, the First Nation peoples, stole the land from them, killed them off, murdered, slaughtered, gave them all kinds of diseases. The Trail of Tears, once they had stole the country and the land from the natives, they turned around and moved them all over the country, disrupting entire people and cultures. Trail of Tears, look it up. And then while simultaneously doing that, enslaving Africans and bringing them to the United States and all over the place, all over different countries, South America, Brazil, Dominican Republic, Haiti, Cuba, Puerto Rico, the list goes on. Enslaving Africans and other indigenous people, making them slaves. So this country has a history of straight up abuse and violence and murder and slaughter. This is nothing new. This is a continuum. And every day we learn about, some other violence or some other catastrophe happening, not only in the United States of America, but around the world. Do y'all know about what's going on in Turkey? Do you know what's going on in Zimbabwe? You have oppressive governments that are shutting the internet down, shutting any type of communication from Turkey or Zimbabwe. You got people in those countries who've been abused and oppressed, murdered, slaughtered, suffering, denied basic human rights, and people are fed up. And this is the outcome of a fed up people. You cannot continue to oppress people and treat people any old way and expect them to just sit there and take it. Eventually, people are going to snap, and these are the reactions that we are seeing. But because we want to continue to scapegoat our problems instead of looking at the problem at hand and addressing it, we ain't even talking about coming up with solutions to fix the problem. Y'all don't even want to address it. Y'all don't even want to talk about racism, white supremacy, masculinity, sexism, patriarchy, poverty. You don't even want to talk about the issue, let alone try to solve the issue. Instead, you're scapegoating it on the victim. You're blaming the victim, okay? And that's what we're seeing right now. And unfortunately, you have the media right in the middle of it who is directing the story, unfortunately. And this is why it's important that you have individuals such as myself and others who are doing it do these videos and discuss what's going on from our perspective, because oftentimes when you look at the media, it's very biased. You're going to listen to somebody that's trying to come up with a narrative. And really what I see the mainstream media doing, the mainstream media, in my opinion, is creating a race war. They are racializing the situation. Now, granted, police brutality, it is a racialized situation, because when we look at it, disproportionately, African Americans, Hispanic Latinos, and other people of color are disproportionately more likely to be accosted by police officers, more likely to receive physical harm, if not death, from encounters with police officers, disproportionately. Okay? You don't believe me? Look it up. The stats are out there to back up what I'm saying. Okay? But there's issues of police brutality. There's issues of white supremacy and racism. There's issues of sexism, how patriarchy and masculinity is toxic and violent. You see it every day. We see the issues of runaway capitalism. We see poverty. We know these things exist, yet we're not doing anything as a society to address it or fix the problem. Instead, we're putting band-aids, band-aid approaches over things instead of fixing the problem, going to the source and fixing it, addressing it. That's what it's going to take. And then in the mix of it, you got the Republican National Convention, the RNC, which, speaking from a personal level, the RNC, the Republican National Convention, might as well be called the Racist National Convention, because you got a race monger here with Donald Trump and the rest of his constituents and his supporters who, you know what? We got to build a wall to keep Hispanic and Latinos out of the country, even though the United States of America stole land from Mexico. How do you think we got Nevada, California, Arizona, Texas? These states were a part of the country of Mexico, okay? But once again, through invading countries, oppressing, and just straight up stealing and conquering and oppressing folks, this is what's happening. But you got the nerve to say we need to put a wall up to keep people that are from here from out of the country. It's crazy. Also, we don't want to let Syrian refugees, and we don't want people who identify as Muslim or identify as following the Islamic faith into the country. Like, this is the xenophobic, racist mess that we got going on and what's been going on in our country. So, yes, we're living in a civil unrest. We've been living in a civil unrest. And I feel like a lot of folks are like, oh my God, I can't believe this has been going on. This has been going on. The only difference is you got video footage to show you that it's been going on, because this has been going on for centuries. Okay, this is nothing new. It's just that now with social media and technology, you can see it right away, instantly, the minute it happens. So that's the only difference. But like I said, I'm going to leave links to this stuff in the description box below. But I'm going to leave with this message. Until we start addressing the problems at hand and stop scapegoating our issues and using band-aid approaches, until we start addressing these issues and looking to come up with solutions to fix the many problems, the multitude of problems, we're going to continue to see this civil unrest. We're going to continue to see people gunned down, murdered, and slaughtered. We're going to continue to see people being oppressed until we have the guts, the audacity to look in the mirror and be like, okay, what's going on? How can I fix it? How can I remedy it? How can I address it? How can I sit down and talk about it? Because right now, all we doing is scapegoating. That's all we doing. We're not going to solve anything until we look at the problem at hand. And that's the message that I'm leaving in this video. You know, rest in peace to the officers that have been murdered. Rest in peace to the innocent men and women who have been killed by police officers. Because like I said, also, you know, look at the facts, look at the stats. You know, it's out there. More people have been killed by police officers than police officers have been killed by regular everyday citizens. You know, you got over 500 people that's been murdered by the police. And yet we got 8 police officers who've been killed by lone gunmen. So this is a history of violence. This is a violent society that we live in, and we don't want to address why people are violent. Why do people automatically go to being violent when they have issues? We don't want to talk about that though, right? But we want to listen to CNN and Fox and all the rest of these folks to give us these narratives. So, like I said, we got to start addressing the problems at hand. Okay, we got to stop scapegoating.